You're listening to the Business and Life Podcast, where 7 days a week, proven entrepreneurs share their success stories, failures, and give you true value on how you can build a great business and an awesome life. With your host, Mike Olivas.
What's happening today, guys? I'll be chatting with Ishveen Anand. Ishveen is the CEO, founder of OpenSponsorship.com, the largest marketplace connecting brands to pro athletes and marketing campaigns. She is a former sports agent, started OpenSponsorship.com after seeing the inefficiencies in sponsorship and understanding how technology innovation could bring a much-needed change. She's a graduate of Oxford University and originally from Manchester, now living in New York. Ishveen, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
So tell our listeners something interesting about yourself and also where you're calling in from today.
Yeah, so I am calling in from New York. That's where our office is based. But obviously I have a British accent. So I grew up in England, Manchester specifically. Lived there most of my life, and then I moved to New York around 7 years ago.
Awesome. And are you currently, or give us a kind of breakdown about your company, the name of the company?
Yeah, so I'm the CEO and co-founder of Open Sponsorship. We're the largest marketplace connecting brands to athletes for marketing deals.
Awesome. How'd you get into that business?
Yeah, so I grew up playing sports. I was an avid athlete. I played throughout school, university, even kind of through, my early professional career. And I was a management consultant. So I graduated from Oxford, did economics, became a management consultant. And I really felt like, I was doing my day job. I was so passionate about sports and what sports had done for me as a child, and the teamwork, communication, everything kind of that I am today is probably thanks to being an athlete. So I really wanted to get back into the world of sports and wasn't really sure kind of in what capacity. And someone told me, hey, there's this sponsorship thing. It could be interesting. Give it a go. So went off to become like a sponsorship sports agent, fell in love with sponsorship as a form of marketing and have stayed in ever since.
Awesome. And so so what did you play actually?
Yeah, I played netball and cricket predominantly, but to be honest, like I was that girl that if you needed someone on your tennis team or your squash team or your soccer team, like you call me basically.
Overall athlete, I love it.
Yeah,
all around athlete. I have a friend like that. I hate him because he's good at everything. Yeah, but I get it, and that's awesome. Yeah, it could be surfing or we could be playing pool. Like he's gonna be better than you, and just the way it works. But I was an athlete and played college athletics as well. But when it's all said and done, the all around athlete, I love that. So give me a time during your entrepreneur journey here, I guess if you will, where you felt you kind of were close or hit rock bottom, Ishveen, and kind of had to overcome that objection so we can kind of give our listeners some real taste of the entrepreneurship journey.
Yeah. Well, we're doing this interview in the midst of coronavirus. And so I'd say right now is a pretty difficult time because you start the year with a plan and, that plan goes straight out the window when the world is literally like kind of coming down upon you. And obviously there's obviously like the medical side of things. So I'm not saying that we have it bad. We're all healthy and stuff, but next week we start officially working from home. I've never done remote working in my life. I've never worked from home a day in my life. I don't think I've even taken a day off to be sick before. So I'm not really sure like what that means and how that works and stuff. And so I'd say, not that we're rock bottom, but there's been so many moments like this where you think you're close to closing the best candidate and then they tell you last minute that they're choosing someone else, or you lose a person, or a big client cancels a contract, and you always feel like, oh my gosh, like that's such a big deal. But it's amazing how quickly you get over that, and there's always like a silver lining. I'm already looking for it now and like, okay, maybe this is going to help us, teach us how to have a remote team, and maybe after this we'll be more open to hiring remote, which we've never done before. And so I think out of failure there's always learnings, and those learnings is what makes you a better company and a better CEO.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that, Ishveen. And you're right. We're in the midst of a crisis, and companies, not to sound like we're not being insincere, but companies are, that virus is affecting so many people and also sadly killing many that me, even as a company, my company, National Group Travel Business, as of yesterday, found out we're probably in the process of potentially here losing hundreds of thousands of dollars during our big season, in the middle of our biggest season. That would make or break my company, honestly. And I'm being 100%. And what you said is so true. And someone asked me, like, why are you doing podcasts today? And it's like, well, honestly, I get to talk to people like you that sincerely make me and remind me that with this great opportunity that I've had as an entrepreneur, that you've had as an entrepreneur, realize that these pitfalls turn into some of these most amazing opportunities as well that turn into positives. And like you mentioned, I want to just kind of caveat off that, like being able to know, like, hey, let's see what being optimistic means. Hey, this sucks, but maybe we'll start learning some awesome things, like we can start hiring outside of our offices, right? And which gives everybody across the world the chance to put talent where talents do, not talent around a 5, 10, 20 mile radius. And there's a lot to be said about that, right? And so a lot of people are doing it, but I know it's hard. So it kind of challenges people. And sometimes what it does, it puts people's back against the wall because you have to do it, right? You have to figure it out. What are some things that you're excited about within your company right now, Ishveen?
Yeah, it's quite a lot actually. So, we've really grown organically, very grassroots. So just to explain, on one side of the marketplace, we have brands, mostly brand direct, sometimes they're agencies, and they are coming to us. Sometimes we're finding them, and sometimes they're coming to us. And, the idea being that sports is probably one of the most powerful things in the world, right? Like if you think about coronavirus became real for many people yesterday when the NBA season got canceled, right? Up until that point, if you think about Trump, like that probably was a big awakening for him, not the fact that like subways were shutting down, not the fact that Facebook was working from home, but the NBA season gets canceled. And so, whether it's Kobe Bryant or whatever else, like you really see the power of sports, and sponsorship is the form of marketing that allows brands to leverage the power of sports as part of their brand building. And traditionally, sponsorship has been reserved for the likes of Nike or JP Morgan Chase or, these big companies. And we are essentially saying that doesn't need to be the case. And everyone should have access to, for us right now, if the focus is athletes, but teams, events, everyone should have the ability to leverage sports within their marketing mix. And the same way that tomorrow you could get on Facebook and teach yourself and go ahead and make an ad and create some magic, the same way tomorrow you could go on our website, opensponsorship.com, and find an athlete, engage with them, send a proposal, work with them, and we really handhold you through that process. And so, what's really exciting for us is at the beginning of this year, we just launched a self-serve version of our platform.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, very cool. And so we felt that it was time that we would lift the paywall and the barrier to come in, mostly because our platform is now good enough that you could log in tomorrow and you could do the whole thing without speaking to a member of my team. And so we're really excited about, we're basically being true to our core, which is you don't need to pay anything to get started with us and come in and explore and like self-teach. So that's really exciting on the brand side. And then on the athlete side, we have 6,000 athletes now, over 50% of the NFL, over 50% of the NBA, but we also have athletes from 160 sports. And so what's exciting for us is just like the growth of that athlete universe. We're thinking about college now for the first time. When we think about esports, that's really interesting as well. And so just, the amount of like potential like opportunities there is on both sides.
What's happening, Life Nation? Michael Levis here. This is a time to do the right thing, not the profitable thing. I'm giving away COVID-19 business strategy sessions for free. I promise to give you my honest advice and coach you on a strategy that I feel would be best for the longevity of your business. I'm not asking you for your money, but in the interest of being able to help as many people as I can, I am asking you to be ready with your 1 to 2 specific questions so we can jump right into it. Go to michaellevis.com/coaching and simply schedule a call on my calendar. That's MikeOLIVAS.com/coaching. Yeah, a lot of cool, fun ideas. And I think that's the excitement part on the C-level side for sure. Being able to kind of put some of those, hopefully, into light and or test, right, in terms of the marketplace.
Yeah, absolutely.
In your opinion, how long have you been in business, by the way?
4.5 years.
Awesome. So in the 4.5 years, there's been some pivots, right? You've obviously you take one angle and one niche and then focus on another. And then what do you think the reason is, or if there is a reason in your opinion, why a lot of entrepreneurs out there decide to just throw in the towel? And
it's a good question. It's a really tough journey to be an entrepreneur. It can be really thankless. I mean, I think people always think of, the Forbes features or the press or the fact that you get asked to speak at conferences, but for every one conference, there's like 10 blows or 100 blows that you're getting behind closed doors. And so I think it's a really tough journey in terms of like monetary wise, like it takes a long time to recoup I think most entrepreneurs are pretty driven, hardworking people, and the opportunity cost is high of running your own company. You definitely shouldn't be paying yourself market rate. Like, you obviously take salary, but nothing compared to like what you'd make at a bigger corporate. And then I think, unfortunately, there are a lot of people who go into the entrepreneurial world probably for the wrong reasons. So, oh, that was a cool idea, I'd like to solve it. Or, hey, me and my buddies got together and we think this would be good. Or maybe like, this is cool because it gives us flexibility. And if you've come into it for whatever, like any wrong reason you've come into it, you're lucky if you make it through to the other end with a success, because it's just so much longer. Like, honestly, if you asked me at the beginning, and I just said 4.5 years to you, I think it's probably like over 5.
Sure.
It's just like default answer.
Oh, I forget all the time too. My default stuck maybe a few years ago. I kept saying 10 and it's been like 13. I just saw LinkedIn pop up saying, hey, congratulations on your 13th. I go, I've been keeping on people 10, but I'm with you, by the way. Just trying to stick on a number. Like that's what it is.
Exactly. And so like, it's so much longer than you realize. And, I think it's just easy in the middle. Like, life gets in the way, right? Like,
yep.
You meet people, or you have kids, or your parents get old, or you want to go on holiday a bit more. Like, none of those things are like in line with being an entrepreneur. And so I think it's just probably the easier thing to give up. But it really comes down to, are you solving a problem that you really want to solve? Because if you are, then you really can't imagine doing anything else, which is where I sit.
With your business now, how have you, or continue to try at least, to build the life that you want to live?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I think, look, the benefit is that as you mature, you tend to want to do less with your time anyway, right? And so work naturally, regardless of what field you're in, your work naturally becomes a bit more important. And then it probably gets to a certain age and you kind of come down. But like, I'm in the prime time of working really hard and being super career focused. Just so happens that instead of doing it for someone else, I'm doing it for our company, kind of thing. But I'm all right with the fact that I spend a lot more time thinking, dreaming about work than, maybe is a bit healthy. But also, the other thing is that when you're in your first 2 years of business, I do think, like, we went through an accelerator out in San Francisco and I was working crazy hours. But and I'm sure you know this, like, once you get into like your 3rd, 4th year, you do naturally realize, like, okay, work-life balance is a thing. I'm going to burn out if you can't sustain that.
Sure.
So I think naturally, actually, it's interesting when I'm interviewing for people now, I tell them that our work-life balance is pretty good because we've been doing it for so long that, I think people think, oh, it's startup and, you must be crazy. But after 3-4 years, you're like, no, we are going to work like 9 till 6:37. And it's not to say you don't think about it all the time, but I don't need to sit in the office all the time.
Right. I think that's a good point. I think you made something that I think hopefully some of the listeners, you mentioned something that some of the listeners will hopefully kind of that are grinding out there. And we say the word grinding lightly. I hope that you're grinding smartly, right? The right way, but from a productivity standpoint. But, yes, my first 3, 4, 5 years, without a doubt, just like you, whether you're in an incubator or an accelerator, or you're just bootstrapping, like I did, it was just definitely having to wear a lot of hats, or still having to learn. If you're an accelerator, still have to learn all the hats, right? To make sure what was going on and how the growth strategy works. You're going to be in the office for a long time, but that evolves. And I think as it evolves, it comes with maturity. It comes with at what angle where do you feel yourself serving best into the company? And then your work-life balance kind of merges together, where you're excited about the life and the work that you're doing.
Yeah.
And those are the two things where the balance kind of comes together. It doesn't mean you might be at the office less. You're a little bit more excited. And that's what life's about. I think sometimes when we start coming back on the feeling that we hopefully have is that productivity, and hopefully feeling that something's moving forward. You're part of something bigger than yourself. You're doing some cool, valuable work that other people are being impacted with. More people come to the business, good people, that kind of that. So I think the listeners will hopefully have some light at the end of the tunnel on those guys that are working 8, 10 hours, 12-hour days, 14-hour days, which we know you're out there and we feel your pain. So how are you, when it comes to like your specific demographic now, do you have one, or is it specifically just all, professional sports? I know you're talking about college and the e-marketing as well, and the e-games, but do you have a specific sport that you guys feel you focus on?
Not really. I would say NFL's our biggest, but that's because the sheer number of players is so big, and it's also such a popular sport for us, and we do well with it, and it's like a little bit less expensive than the NBA because there are more players. So I love NFL, but we're, like golf season's around the corner, hopefully. So then they'll be like, I think I'd say it's pretty seasonal, and we're reacting to a lot of what our brands want. And actually what's interesting is less about like sport nowadays, and it's more about like the cultural movement. So we're seeing a lot of brands who are like looking for vegan athletes, or looking for athletes, who have kids or pets. And so it's less about the sport versus the demographic of the athlete.
Absolutely. So the lifestyle of the athlete has become their brand.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. I mean, I think about just personally when I watch like Netflix on a documentary, I watch a lot of documentaries, and now people in the vegan world, right? They're like talking about all these world-class athletes that are vegan. Like, how did you do it? Right. And I think that's kind of cool that they're using that angle, but also just kind of showing the proof is in the pudding of the person themselves. And that's even probably great for you guys from a branding perspective. You're able to brand the person, not just a skill set. Right.
Yeah.
So it's the person. It's really cool. Out of all your successes and failures, what is the one piece of pardon advice that you'd give to the business and life listeners out there today?
I'd say learn from your failures, be okay with them, and be able to talk about them with people around you. I think like too many people are like so scared to talk about failure, and I personally am like quite big on like being transparent with that, so that otherwise it just eats you up on the inside, right? Like so I feel like being okay with the fact that you fail, and the way you can do that is to say, okay, I'm not going to do this again, I'm going to learn from it, and then with the successes, for sure, like take a moment to celebrate them. And I know that for everyone out there, me, myself included, like you're always like, okay, well, let's say you get on a list that's for 30 under 30, right? And then suddenly it's like, well, I'm not on the 40 under 40 list, or I want to be there, and I want to be here, and I want to, like you hit this much in revenue, but next year I want to do this. Like it can be so easy to just keep going and going. And I'm definitely a fault of that too. And I think the way to do it is honestly to sometimes like have like where do you think you were going to be? Write it down, and then say like, when you hit it, celebrate it. I have this like fun story with one of my girlfriends that I was like, when we raised our first $1 million, we're going to go to Vegas. And I remember we raised our first $1 million, and I was like, you kidding? I need to work. And like, we've never gone to Vegas together. Right. And so it's like, I think like there is something about saying, I'm going to celebrate when this happens, and making sure that you do celebrate it.
Awesome, Ishveen. Well, thank you so much for your time. Where can people find you?
Opensponsorship.com. Check it out. And please tell anyone you know who has marketing dollars to come and visit us. And then, personally, LinkedIn, Twitter, feel free to hit me up.
Opensponsorship.com. Everybody check it out. We'll make sure we post everything and all the breakdown and sound bombs that we got through Ishveen in the show notes. Thanks again for all of your time and knowledge.
Thank you so much.
Life Nation, you got to remember that in order for things to change, you must change. And in order for things to get better, you must get better. You just got better by hanging out with me, Michael Libas, and the Business and Life Nation. So come back tomorrow because I'm here dropping sound bombs 7 days a week, baby. If you'd like to subscribe, please do so you can take action and execute. See you tomorrow.